What if everything you've been taught about being a good person is actually holding you back from greatness? Friedrich Nietzsche, one of history's most controversial philosophers, believed that our obsession with fitting in and following rules is literally killing our souls. Today we're diving deep into his radical blueprint for living completely unapologetically. And I guarantee these insights will shake up everything you thought you knew about success and authenticity. Picture this. You're at a party, someone makes a joke that crosses the line, and everyone laughs uncomfortably while you sit there knowing it's wrong. Most people would stay silent, go along with the crowd, maybe even fake a smile. But what if I told you that moment of cowardly silence is exactly what Nietzsche called spiritual suicide? He argued that every time we betray our authentic voice to keep the peace, we become a little less human. Nietzsche introduced this concept called master morality versus slave morality, and it's absolutely mind-blowing when you understand it. Slave morality is what most of society operates on. It's reactive, resentful, and built on the idea that we should be humble, self-sacrificing, and always consider others first. Sounds noble, right? Wrong. Nietzsche saw this as psychological poison that turns us into resentful, weak versions of ourselves. Master morality, on the other hand, is about creating your own values from a position of strength and authenticity. It's not about dominating others, it's about refusing to let others dominate you. When you operate from master morality, you're not asking permission to be yourself. You're not seeking validation for your choices. You're creating your own definition of what's good and valuable based on your authentic nature. Here's where it gets really interesting. Nietzsche talked about something called the eternal recurrence test. Imagine you had to live your exact same life over and over again, forever, with every choice, every moment of cowardice, every compromise you made. Would you be able to say yes to that life? Most people would be horrified because they've spent their lives hiding from themselves. The unapologetic person passes this test with flying colors because they're not living someone else's version of a good life. They're living their own truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it makes others squirm. This doesn't mean being cruel or selfish. It means being honest about who you are and what you value, regardless of social pressure. Let me give you a practical example. Say you're passionate about art, but everyone around you pushes you toward a stable corporate job. The slave morality approach would be to sacrifice your dreams to please others, then spend decades resenting your choice while telling yourself you're being responsible. The master morality approach would be to pursue your art unapologetically, not because you're guaranteed success, but because betraying your authentic calling would be spiritual death. Nietzsche also warned about what he called the herd mentality. Most people are so terrified of standing out that they'll literally reshape their personalities to blend in. They'll adopt popular opinions they don't really believe, laugh at jokes they don't find funny, and pursue goals that don't actually fulfill them, all to avoid the discomfort of being different. But here's the paradox. The very thing we're trying to avoid by conforming, which is rejection and isolation, actually happens anyway when we live inauthentically. We end up feeling disconnected from others because we're not showing them who we really are. We're performing a character, not living as ourselves. The unapologetic life requires what Nietzsche called the courage to become who you are. This means accepting the parts of yourself that don't fit society's mold, embracing your contradictions, and refusing to apologize for taking up space in the world. It means saying what you really think, pursuing what genuinely interests you, and setting boundaries that protect your energy and values. One of the most powerful concepts Nietzsche gave us was the idea of self-overcoming. Instead of trying to be perfect according to someone else's standards, you focus on continuously becoming a better version of yourself according to your own authentic values. This is a dynamic, creative process where you're constantly growing and evolving, not trying to fit into some fixed idea of who you should be. Living unapologetically also means accepting responsibility for your life completely. No more blaming circumstances, other people, or bad luck for your situation. When you take full ownership of your choices and their consequences, you reclaim your power to change what isn't working. This philosophy extends beautifully into modern self-discovery work. Speaking of which, if you're inspired to explore these themes of authentic living more deeply, I want to introduce you to Gary Nguyen's incredible books. Gary is a 29-year-old author currently living in Silicon Valley who has published 13 books in Vietnam since she was 17 years old, including novels, short stories, and personal essays. You can find some of her works on Amazon, such as Just Hear Me Out and A Luxury Item Called Me. Her writing offers relatable wisdom that perfectly complements this journey of becoming unapologetically yourself, providing practical insights for anyone ready to embrace their authentic path. The unapologetic life isn't about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about having the courage to live your questions authentically rather than accepting someone else's answers. It's about choosing growth over comfort, truth over popularity, and authenticity over approval. Start today by identifying one area where you've been living to please others instead of honoring yourself, and take one small step toward changing that pattern.